Let us for a few moments contemplate on the Master and pray to him for the peace and prosperity of the whole humanity. Shanti, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Yate Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to the real, to lead us from worldliness to spiritual, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, where Sri Ramakrishna has given clear instructions about living our life. Sri Ramakrishna has said many things. He says that we should have Sita as our ideal. Sri Ramakrishna prays to Divine Mother, O Mother, make me like Sita. Sri Ramakrishna is giving an ideal here for us to follow. If we study Sita's life, we find that how she became completely forgetful of everything, body and limbs, totally unconscious of hands, feet and sense organs. She was concentrating on one thought in her mind always, that was, where is my Rama? Her whole being was on the Divine Personality, Sri Ramchandra. She had tremendous yearning. Every moment of her breath, she would call on Sri Rama with intense feeling. Her life was centered in Sri Rama. In that process, her whole mind became totally absorbed in the divine form of Sri Ramachandra. She forgot even the body, which is so dear to all. Another impressive character, the impressive feature in Sita is she is virtue incarnate. She serves Sri Rama with all care, love and affection. Sri Ramachandra was her consort. But how did she serve him? With what unflinching devotion and faith in him. That is remarkable. She sweetly administers to the needs of Sri Ramachandra in weal and woe. She bows down to his will without any question. She willingly followed Sri Ramachandra in his life of exile and accepts her ordeal by fire and banishment to the forest without any question. She never even for a moment complained about Sri Rama. She is pure, modest, one-pointed, devoted. She suffered all through her life. Her power manifests through her suffering. She is the personification of endurance. So Sri Ramakrishna holds Sita as the great ideal. We must look on suffering that way. Suffering has its own purpose. There are so many ways of suffering. Suffering for the sake of humanity. Suffering for the sake of others. Suffering without any selfish motive. Selfless suffering. The mother suffers for the sake of her child. But whatever suffering she might undergo, she doesn't feel, because she loves her child intensely, so that makes her sacrifice supreme. Second point Sri Ramakrishna said was, God dwells in all beings. He is the gold in all. In some places it is more clearly manifest than in others. God is present everywhere. He dwells not only in the spiritual minded people, He dwells in the worldly minded too. But He is hidden there, like gold under deep layers of clay. This worldliness covers up the manifestation of the glory of God. Because of this covering, we suffer. Unless the mind is made tranquil and pure, we cannot observe God. We can't have any taste of God. We don't feel even interested to come to chapel. Probably we would be interested to see some sports or some TV show, or go to some bar and enjoy some time in the club, so on and so forth. So the Mahatmas always insist upon maintaining the purity of the heart. The mirror of the heart should be made clean to become aware of the presence of God. God is the nearest to us. He is the life of our life, the mind of our mind. We breathe just because He is there. So, the important point that we should note here is what Sri Ramakrishna says: keep the mind pure. That is your responsibility, that is your duty. We are conscious of our duties. In the same way, we must be conscious of our spiritual duties too. To maintain the purity of the heart is very important. The rest is God's business. He is providence, the wish-fulfilling tree. He provides everything. He acts like a valet to provide us with whatever we want. But we must be careful not to go to Him with any selfish desires. Because desire is the root of all suffering. You can never satisfy the desires. The more you enjoy, the more you want. The very first attribute of God is lordliness. Contemplation on God should enable us to gain lordliness over our passions and become master of our souls. Unless we control our senses, we cannot have peace at all. If we are aspiring for peace, it follows we should take all steps to control our senses, to direct the senses properly, to make use of the senses properly. Secondly, whatever God wills is immediately done. We also have the power to translate our wishes into action. Thirdly, God is love. As He loves everyone, so should we love all created beings. We should not hate anybody. One is invoking God's name properly to the extent that one is able to acquire His attributes. God is all-pervading and all-powerful. There is nothing that cannot be granted by Him. Whatever we want from Him, He supplies, like a servant, as it were. Therefore, we should not ask for anything from Him, but remain satisfied with whatever He is pleased to give us. If we ask the God for anything, He presents us with a gift which is like a double-edged sword. Real welfare lies in using things properly. Wrong use of things brings misfortune. If God Himself comes down to confer on us the blessing of peace, we will turn down His offer because mind is not sufficiently pure. It is entangled in so many worldly things. This is why He comes down to us as the embodiment of renunciation. He comes to relieve us of all our worldly possessions and everything that we call our own. Third point, Sri Ramakrishna said, God cannot be realized, the knowledge of Brahman cannot be attained if the aspirant is worldly minded. Again and again Sri Ramakrishna tells these points. Worldly ways, they are responsible for suffering. Why we suffer? Because our mind runs after worldly things. Because our mind has no control. It has lost its control. It has lost its power of discrimination. So, as a consequence of this, we have to suffer. To give an example, Sri Ramakrishna explains things giving wonderful similes. Suppose there is a man who has no family to care for. Single parent, as in America it's very common. Single parent homes, very common. He has no relatives to look after, but what will he do? He will have some pet with him, such as a cat, a monkey, or a puppy, or a bird, and he fondles it. He wants to spend time with the pets. Such is the nature that Maya attracts people, put people in such ignorance. The heart of a worldly man is stuffed with all kinds of worldly thoughts and desires. So why the worldly man is not able to realize God? That's also explained by a good simile. Suppose there is a wet match. It doesn't ignite however hard you may strike it. It only smokes. But a dry match lights at once, even with the slightest rubbing. So the heart of the true devotee is like the dry match. The slightest mention of the name of the Lord kindles the fire of love in his heart, while the mind of the worldly man, soaked in passions and attachments, resists all warmth like the moistened match. Though God may be preached to him several times, the fire of divine love can never be kindled in him. He will be same as before, because so much of impurities are there. So Sri Ramakrishna is telling, associate with holy people, read the holy texts, undertake some spiritual disciplines with all sincerity, pray to God earnestly, be sincere in your attempts, repent for what you have done in the past. The sincerity in repenting would be not to commit again such blunders in life. Always to be humble and serviceable. Try to be always free from pride. By these methods, over the period of time, it should be possible to get the mind purified. It's a constant process. It's not a matter to be done in a few days or a month. The whole lifetime takes. It depends upon how much impurity we have in our heart. So each man's spiritual practices therefore vary according to the impurities in oneself. So Sri Ramakrishna's teachings are clearly given. If we are really aspiring for peace and happiness, we must maintain purity. Purity itself is happiness. If you feel you are pure, sattvic, that itself gives you wonderful joy. Page 344, Sri Ramakrishna said, weep for God with a longing heart. Tears shed for him will wash away the clay. When you have thus freed yourself from impurity, you will be attracted by the magnet. Only then will you attain yoga. Mukherjee said, priceless words. Sri Ramakrishna said, if a man is able to weep for God, he will see him. He will go into samadhi. Perfection in yoga is samadhi. A man achieves kumbhaka without any yogic exercise if he but weeps for God. The next stage is samadhi. There is another method, that of meditation. In the Sahasrar, Shiva manifests himself in a special manner. The aspirant should meditate on him. The body is like a tray. The mind and buddhi are like water. The sun of Chidananda is reflected in this water. Meditating on the reflected sun, one sees the real sun through the grace of God. But the worldly man must constantly live in the company of holy men. It is necessary for all, even for monks, but it is especially necessary for the householder. His disease has become chronic because he has to live constantly in the midst of lust and gold. Mukherjee said, yes sir, the disease has indeed become chronic. Then Sri Ramakrishna assured him, give God the power of attorney. Let him do whatever he wants. Be like a kitten and cry to him with a fervent heart. The mother cat puts the kitten wherever she wants to. The kitten doesn't know anything. It is left sometimes on the bed and sometimes near the hearth. Mukherjee said, it is good to read sacred books like the Gita. Sri Ramakrishna said, but what will you gain by mere reading? Some have heard of milk, some have seen it, and there are some besides who have drunk it. God can indeed be seen. What is more, one can talk to him. The first stage is that of the beginner. He studies and hears. Second is the stage of the struggling aspirant. He prays to God, meditates on Him, and sings His name and glories. The third stage is that of the perfect soul. He has seen God, realized Him directly and immediately in his inner consciousness. Last is the stage of the supremely perfect like Chaitanya. Such a devotee establishes a different relationship with God, looking on Him as his son or beloved. M. Rakhal, Jogin, Lotu and other devotees were entranced by these words of divine realization. Mr. Mukherjee and his friend were taking leave of the Master. After saluting him, they stood up. The Master also stood up to show them courtesy. Mukherjee, smiling, that you should stand up or sit down. Master, smiling, said, but what's the harm? Water is water, whether it is placid or in waves. I am like a cast-off leaf in the wind. The wind blows that leaf wherever it lists. I am the machine and God is its operator. Mr. Mukherjee and his friend left the room. M thought, according to the Vedanta, all is like a dream. Are all these, the ego, the universe and the living beings, unreal then? M had studied a little of the Vedanta. He also had read the German philosophers such as Kant and Hegel, whose writings are only a faint echo of the Vedanta. But Sri Ramakrishna did not arrive at his conclusions by reasoning as do ordinary scholars. It was the Divine Mother of the universe who revealed the truth to him. These were the thoughts that passed through M's mind. A little later, Sri Ramakrishna and M were conversing on the porch west of the Master's room. No one else was there. It was a late winter afternoon and the sun had not yet gone below the horizon. Master Maharaj had asked, is the world unreal? Sri Ramakrishna answered, why should it be unreal? What you are asking is a matter for philosophical discussion. In the beginning, when a man reasons following the Vedantic method of not this, he realizes that Brahman is not the living beings, not the universe, not the 24 cosmic principles. All these things become like dreams to him. Then comes the affirmation of what has been denied, and he feels that God Himself has become the universe and all living beings. Suppose you are climbing to the roof by the stairs. As long as you are aware of the roof, you are also aware of the stairs. He who is aware of the high is also aware of the low. But after reaching the roof, you realize that the stairs are made of the same materials, brick, lime and brick dust as the roof. Further, I have given the illustration of the bell fruit. Both changeability and unchangeability belong to one and the same reality. The ego cannot be done away with. As long as I consciousness exists, living beings and the universe must also exist. After realizing God, one sees that it is He Himself who has become the universe and the living beings, but one cannot realize this by mere reasoning. Shiva has two states of mind. The state of Samadhi, when he is transfixed in the great yoga. He is then Atma Rama, satisfied in the self. Second, the state in which when he descends from Samadhi and keeps a trace of ego, then he dances about chanting Rama Rama. Did the Master describe Shiva to hint at his own state of mind? It was evening. Sri Ramakrishna was meditating on the Divine Mother and chanting her holy name. The devotees also went off to solitary places and meditated on their chosen ideals. Evening worship began at the temple garden in the shrines of Kali, Radha, Krishna and Shiva. It was the second day of the dark fortnight of the moon. Soon the moon rose in the sky, bathing temples, trees, flowers, and the rippling surface of the Ganges in its light. The Master was sitting on the couch and on the floor. The conversation turned to the Vedanta. Master said to him, why should the universe be unreal? There is a speculation of the philosophers. After realizing God, one sees that it is God Himself who has become the universe and all living beings. The Divine Mother revealed to me in the Kali temple that it was she who had become everything. She showed me that everything was full of consciousness. The image was consciousness, the altar was consciousness, the water vessels were consciousness, the door sill was consciousness, the marble floor was consciousness, all was consciousness. I found everything inside the room, soaked, as it were, in bliss, the bliss of Chidananda. I saw a wicked man in front of the Kali temple, but in him also I saw the power of the Divine Mother vibrating. That was why I fed a cat with the food that was to be offered to the Divine Mother. I clearly perceived that the Divine Mother herself had become everything, even the cat. The manager of the temple garden wrote to Mathur Babu saying that I was feeding the cat with the offering intended for the Divine Mother. But Mathur Babu had insight into the state of my mind. He wrote back to the manager, "Let him do whatever he likes, you must not say anything to him." After realizing God, one sees all this aright. That it is He who has become the universe, living beings, and the 24 cosmic principles. But what remains when God completely effaces the ego cannot be described in words. As Ram Prasad said in one of his songs, "Then alone will you know whether you are good or I am good." I get into even that state now and then. A man sees a thing in one way through reasoning and in an altogether different way when God Himself shows it to him. You can ask questions if you have got. Maya is of the mind. Where did you read that? See, mind is entangled in the unreal things because of the power of Maya, because of the illusion, because of the ignorance of one's own true self. We are in ignorance on account of Maya. A thing which we cannot explain is called Maya. So, Maya is that which always tries to keep you away from God. Maya always binds you down to the world. As long as the person is under the influence of Maya, he will be always suffering and suffering. So the person seeking a kind of happiness in the worldly things is a terrible attraction of the Maya. Actually, the person is lured. It is a kind of attraction. It is not real. Because whatever the joy that you get in this world is not the real one, because it always gives you some kind of pain and unpleasantness. You may have temporary happiness, but it gives you more suffering than the real happiness, because whatever the happiness that you get through desires make you more and more restless, more and more impatient. Consequently, you become more and more addicted to the worldly enjoyments. Even though you know it is not good, you can't avoid it. So you are pushing yourself to that kind of helpless state. So all these are the workings of the Maya. So one has to get over that. However nice it looks, we should not be trapped. See, the other day, about 2 days back, last weekend, I was in Maryland, Baltimore. A very good program indeed. So there, I used to go for a walk in the morning, as I do here. Somebody took me to the Central Park. There, it was very good to walk inside it's a beautiful park with lakes and long trees and excellent. So while walking, I was watching all the things around and enjoying myself, the beauty of the nature, and feeling more and more joyful because I was thinking about God that way, through nature, worshipping God through nature. That's why generally when I walk, I won't like to talk If you talk, you open the mouth, means you talk all useless things, is it not? Generally. So, if you don't talk to that extent, you are saving the energy, and at the same time you are able to divert the mind on the higher things. That I was trying to do. So when I was walking, I saw two persons sitting on the shore of the lake. They are throwing the fishing rod into the water. A big bait, some little, some fly or something, so that the fish gets attracted to that. Some kind of creature that was tied down at the end of the baiting rod, and he just threw it. I could see that creature moving and struggling to get out. But as soon as that is gone inside the water, all the fishes came running. But they are running to die, but they don't know. In the same way, all these worldly enjoyments are just like baits. We are just being attracted by them and get lost, get destroyed. So we should be careful not to be duped by these kind of worldly things which drag you, which make you, which forces you to get yourself attached. Once you get attached to those things, you will not be able to do anything. One person was telling, see, tomorrow we have got Guru Purnima, so please come. Just in a very casual way I was telling him. Then he answered, Swamiji, I love to come, but I have got a pet in my home. There is nobody, so I have to look after that. But pet can stay on. The Guru Purnima will not come again. Is it not? But for him, pet is more important than Guru Purnima. That means his mind is not yet sufficiently raised up to get over that. He can make any alternative arrangement. He can keep that pet in somebody's home or somebody to, just like babysitter. He can ask somebody to look after the pet. Or he can provide some food for it till he comes back. There are so many ways of doing it if he wants to. Suppose his daughter is coming from England. He has to go to airport. Does he think of the pet at the time? He will make some arrangement to look after the pet and he will go to the airport. Even if it is 2 hours, he will spend there and he will bring his daughter. That means, see, we have to judge the things in our own way, everyday action. How far we are worldly, how far we are spiritual, or how far we are trying to be spiritual. Yeah. The point is that has been explained by Sri Ramakrishna himself in the Gospel many times, almost every page, that in one sense the whole thing is a drama. The whole thing is a game. So, in that sense, things happen. We can't explain it. But we have come here, we are in the game. Let us play the game well and win the game. That's our point now. Coming into the game, in the middle of the game, we should not begin to reason. Why should I come for the game? What should I do? No. The first immediate thing is play the game well. Afterwards you discuss if you want. So, in the same way, first of all, try to realize God. Try to get out of this mess. Then you will understand everything. Why everything happened like that. In one sense, light up all the other candles. The same light is here. Though the same light is here, we have got 11, 10 plus 1. So 1 appearing as many. In essence, the same light. Suppose you keep that 1 there, from which you have lighted all the 10 lamps. The 10 lamps which you have lighted, if you suppose you put off 1 lamp, then it becomes 9. But even then the same light, though it is same light, it is different. Because of the container, because we have got 9 candle holders. So we have lighted the 9 candle holders, so 9 lamps are being visible to us. Though it is the same light. In the same way, God is one. The same God principle is lighting through all these bodies. Not only humans, through animals, through plants, through everything. It is same light, same essence. That we have to experience. Once you experience that truth, then you will enjoy immense peace, immense joy. Then you will understand the truth of the game is found out. Till then, it's a theory. But whatever the holy people have said, we should believe them and take to practices. Human cruelty depends upon individual's nature. Each one is different, as I told you. Suppose you again take the same example, 10 candle holders. If one candle holder is sophisticated and defective, not giving the light properly, it is not the fault of the light, it is the fault of the candle holder. So like that, you happen to be in your body, in this body. Suppose somebody happens to be in the body of the snake, it behaves like a snake. How? It only bites. If it has got poison, it injects poison. Suppose if it is in the form of a tiger, it behaves like the tiger. Like that. But it has nothing to do with the spirit inside. That's what I am trying to tell you. So, to realize that, it's only in human life that faculty is given to us. In no other life it is possible. Even in God's life, you will not be able to realize the truth. God's life means not the supreme God. The other gods, superhuman beings, are called gods. Sometimes many people will be asking, Swamiji, why there are so many gods and goddesses? Then I asked the counter question, why there are so many people? You tell me. Why should there be so many people? Can you count the number of people? You cannot count them. It's infinite. Same way, God is infinite. God's forms are infinite. That's the idea. But we have got into this structure. Now let us see how to get out of it, how to realize the truth, how to make our life in this short human life, whatever we have got. Let us try our best to reach the goal. Some help will come, guidance will come, everything will come. God provides everything. As I told in the beginning, probably it didn't come. So actually, God has provided everything. He has provided everything, but we are behaving in a foolish way, so we are not able to use them properly. So we are suffering. So the responsibility is upon the individual, not upon anybody else. What is it? Anything that takes one away from spiritual ideas is to be called worldliness. Let it be anything. Anything that distracts you from God. Anything that takes you away from the spiritual ideas. Anything that entangles your mind and disturbs your mind, disturbs your tranquility, is to be called worldliness. If you have got that capacity, that is, even though you work like that, you will not be disturbed by that way. If you have got that capacity, then probably you may be able to do that. But is it so easy? Once you get involved, it's very difficult to get out of it. That's why people used to go to forest. Do you think people simply would go out of joke, out of fun? No. Even the kings, nowadays it has become outdated. But all the kings means they would enjoy their life maximum. They have got everything plenty. But at one point of time, they become disgusted. They give everything to their children, grandchildren, take away everything. We don't want anything of this any sort anymore. We shall concentrate upon God. So they would go to forest, have a peaceful life. Because they have known what is hectic activity, so now they understand the value of peace in that background. Like that. If you become a politician, mind becomes politically minded. Where is the time? Even to realize God, how much you have to struggle. And you are talking about this right, that right, etc. Do you think that you can solve it by that way? By the time you solve this problem, another problem will come. By the time that problem is solved, third problem will arise its head. Problems are infinite. Anything that you take in the world, anything that you see in the world leads to infinity, because God is infinite. Anything bad, that's also infinity. Anything, there is no end. Science, do you think there is end? Infinite, it goes on. Even millions of years the creation, let it go, millions of things they discover. It's not complete. Vanaprastha, it is taking a different shape now. Vanaprastha is not being practiced as we used to practice in the olden days. Now what they do, they go to spiritual retreats and they spend some time in temples and churches and ashramas, etc. They live a kind of philanthropic life. Both husband and wife, they try to do service to the people. That way they feel blessed. So the idea is, whatever Vanaprastha, the idea is what they would do in Vanaprastha, they would sit with the rishis and they would read scriptures and they would meditate on it, and they will be in that wonderful environment. The same environment is provided in the temples and spiritual places where the holy people always conduct classes and constantly meditate upon the spiritual ideas. Oh yes, it is. It is. Yeah. No, he knew he was pure. Sita knew she was pure. Sri Ramachandra is God himself. Sita is Goddess Lakshmi herself. That's true. But in order to set model, in order to set an ideal to the people, see, Sri Ramachandra, when he was the king, he did not want any kind of criticism to come from the people in any manner. So, he wanted to show to them how it is foolishness on the part of the man who passed some remarks against Sita. And so in order to glorify the purity, by that act, Sita's purity was glorified million times more. It is true, it appears cruel from the ordinary worldly man's point of view. But here at that point of time, when Dharma was considered supreme, and most of the people were, 99.9% people were practicing truthfulness. That was the period at that time. Even the slightest thing would be considered as the biggest folly, like that. So, even when she was abducted by Ravana to Lanka, and though Janaki spent whole time repeating Sri Rama's name, she never looked at Ravanasur even once. She didn't have any lustful thoughts. But finally, when Ravana was killed and Sri Ramachandra went to Lanka and everything was done, finally when all the people came, when Janaki came to meet Sri Ramachandra, he said, "No, I can't accept you because you were in this environment for such a long time." So, but there also, the idea is, he wanted to show to the people, even though she lived there, surrounded by Raksasis and Rakshasas, she was 100% pure. So that is why even her hair was not burnt when she jumped into the fire. God Agni himself came and gave Sita to Sri Ramachandra. She is purest, she is the incarnation of purity. So like that. At that point of time it was like that. So when truthfulness is being practiced to such an extent, even a small lie becomes a big thing. Severe punishment for small thing. But if the 90% people talk lies, then it doesn't carry much weight. Like that. No, it happened, it occurred. It is itihasa. Itihasa means it is a history. It is not a story. It is a history. Even the many scientists, they have found out in Dwarka, in the ocean, they have found many things they have got now to prove Lord Krishna was there. Many recent findings have been explored. They are different. Rama was in much before Krishna. Rama was million years before Krishna was born. Yeah, Treta Yuga. You see, there are 4 yugas are there. The present age is called Kali Yuga according to Indian tradition. Prior to Kali Yuga there was Dwapar Yuga. So Lord Krishna was born in that Dwapar Yuga. So like that. Same God principle. I give you the example of the candle, exactly like that. Same God. Lord Christ also, same incarnation of the same God. No, there are so many ways of interpreting the things happened actually. Interpretation you can give in any manner according to your intellect. But the life is there. That's all. Any more? Whether a person is devotee or not, one has to pass through hardships. And hardships come because of our own actions done previously, in whatever manner we have done. It is cause and effect. That's all. It is cause and effect. Even there may be Mahatmas. Everybody will have to pass through hardships. It is not because he is Mahatma, he is passing through hardship. Even without being Mahatma, he will have to pass through hardship. But because he is Mahatma, he is able to overcome. He is not shaken by the hardships. He is able to trample over them. He is able to walk over them. He faces them boldly, courageously. That's the thing. I told you, for example, Sita herself, how much she suffered. Whole life is suffering only. But she was the incarnation of virtue, personification of endurance. But all along, though in the life it appeared very hard, inwardly she was always joyful because she had the vision of Rama always in her heart. No, that is, you see, the glory of the devotee is highlighted. When the hardship comes, how the devotee behaves, how the ordinary man behaves, to show the difference. And another point is, hardships come because to purify the devotee. Suppose he has some difficulties, suppose he has some impurities. So God doesn't want to take him without cleaning him. So he himself takes the responsibility of cleaning him. So suffering comes. Suffering comes to clean. See, you are applying the soap, you rub. Rubbing is suffering. You rub the soap on the body, and suppose it is the stain is too much. You rub it more frequently, but afterwards it cleans. Without that rubbing, it would not have been cleaned. Like that. Sita is, according to the tradition, Sri Krishna, Ramachandra is incarnation of Vishnu and Sita is incarnation of Lakshmi. As far as we are concerned, about Ramayana is concerned, Valmiki Ramayana is considered authentic. Now, like that, even Parvati is called Lakshmi, Saraswati. See, for every god they call. That way it is true. Anymore? Now, what you are referring to you means who? Very good. At least in that, while thinking that way, you are maintaining your peacefulness. That's very good. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That is the way. That's the way. We shall stop here. It's getting 9 o'clock. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, whirly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, as steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. O how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people. May the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good. May the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be freed from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.